Well, fuck, I'll be damned. Look at all the stuff Rob left me in case he went to a coma. Wow, that's a hefty thing. Alright, let's see here. These are crossovers. These what is this? Video essay. Oh lord. Oh my god. All of this. Is Venom not safe for work? Oh my god. Oh my god, when he comes to, me and him, we're gonna have a long talk about things. Yeah, no worries. I'm not gonna do any of this. I'm gonna talk about the Knights of Ren. Welcome to the Oscars in English! First episode! We're talking about something completely pointless. Thanks for coming. Alright, I get it. You're super excited, like, oh, we throw the papers in the air, fuck fraps, you know, and all that. But actually, we want to do things correctly. So first of all, I'm gonna address a couple of elephants in the room so that we can take them back and shoot them in the head. First of all, you're probably wondering, wait, what the hell? Why are you not a cartoon anymore? What? Haven't you seen the episode? I worked months on that. Well, not really months. I worked days on that. I watched the episode. I think you know that. Second, no, we're not talking about any of the movies today. We're not reviewing the original. No. Second, what is that in front of you? This is a desk. No, this is not a desk. What is the name? It's like the thing Jim Stephanie used to have on their program. You know, like Jimquisition. They used to have like what's this? An altar? No, not an altar. It's a podium. Yeah, it's a podium. Yeah, I have a podium. What of it? Looks fucking great, doesn't it? It looks more professional, if you ask me. Thirdly, wait, if this is a Star Wars video, why are you not wearing a Star Wars t-shirt? I do not own any. So, yeah. Thirdly, what is on the desk? Told you, it's not a desk, it's a podium. And, well, we have Sido Onitano here. This is the Red Corsair from The Force Awakens. And you could have... And then we have a phone that I used to read shit. I don't remember the things I'm saying, guys. I need to read shit. And also, we got Denzi Man. It's a manga about a Super Sentai series that was published just in Italy and Japan. I know, right? It's weird. And why do I have it on my desk? You need to be patient. You're gonna know everything in the time that I'm finishing recording the video. You, person watching the video. So, why do I want to talk about the Knights of Ren? Well, this is actually a good question. I always want to talk about the Knights of Ren because this is such a missed opportunity in the new sequel trilogy. Because at the end of the day, the Knights of Ren have always been such an interesting topic to me. They look so unique. All of them look so unique. And yet, they don't have nothing to work with. Right? This is weird, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, you know, they need to sell the action figures. Why do they not have nothing to do? It's weird. What's their deal? And that's probably why you clicked on the video. And stay tuned for the next chapter of the video. I'm cutting here. So other clarification, not talking about the movies today. Because I know that people probably want to know so much about my opinion about the movies, but I don't particularly care about them. I just don't. So we're moving on. Well, you know, it's just that I know that people want me to rave about how Luke Skywalker is completely ruined because he drinks green milk instead of blue milk like he was supposed to in the original trilogy. But I'm sorry, but we have more important shit to talk about. So there you go, more important shit. The Knights of Ren. God, this is my life now. So the first thing I do when I want to know something new about a character I just discovered is go on the internet, just type it out in my phone, just like, oh, who the fuck are the Knights of Ren? And usually what I found are results like fan wikis, which is somewhere I got most of the information today, outside for, other places on the web, and a Reddit post when it says like, oh, who is this character? And usually people just call the person as Lur. Yeah, that's the internet for you. So anyway, the Knights of Ren are essentially just a religious group that goes by the way of the Ren, which is worshipping a lightsaber. And they're like a subset of the dark side, which is weird, right? Because I mean, the dark side already is is already a religion. So this is like a subset of a religion. Do they succeeded? Are the Knights of Ren dark side Lutherans? Are they? Maybe they are. It would be hilarious. Can you imagine like Martin Luther with like dark mole tattoos and red eyes and the horns? I don't know. It would be hilarious to me. So the Knights of Ren appear only in the first and the third movie, which is great if you watch them because you can skip the second one. I'm joking. But they were supposed to be in the second one, or at least Rian Johnson kind of thought about including them in the second one, but he decided against it because he thought the movie was already too much fucked. Which I say, was it? It's not. I mean, honestly, okay, they would have been in the throne scene, the one where Snoke get like fucking halved by Kylo Ren. Essentially, there would be the gods that they got killed in the scene, which at the end of the day, they didn't really change much, not to their fate, and it didn't change much in the movie. I mean, it probably would have changed the reception. People would probably complain about that as well now, but whatever. So you're probably wondering yourself, who the fuck is Ren? Right? I mean, you got the Knights of Ren, you got Kylo Ren. Who's Ren? Who's the guy who started the religion? Who's their own personal Jesus Sith Christ with the fucking lightsabers all day? Well, that's what the comic book Star Wars column The Rise of Kylo Ren is trying to explain to you. Written by Charles Soule, drawn by Will Sliney. Okay, so basically the comic book goes from Kylo Ren being Luke's apprentice all the way to him becoming, I don't know what it is, like the King of Edgelords. I have no idea what his actual title is. So, okay, so the comic book went from December 2019 to March 2020. It was basically released when the last movie came out. And he was trying to basically be like a patch to fix all the plot holes that were not going to be explained in the third movie. Very proactive, Disney. I appreciate what you do. I don't. So, yeah. So that's the comic book. Oh, no, I haven't read the comic book. No. Well, I was waiting to record the video first. Yeah, it was gonna be this thing. Record the video before you read the comic book. Record the rest of the video after you read the comic book, so you can talk about the comic book. You can talk about all the other stuff about the Knights of Ren, and then you're gonna be like, I just didn't want to read it. Maybe it's gonna be shit. Maybe it's gonna be good. Or maybe it's not gonna. It's gonna be shit. And trust me, I tried to get it physical. This is here because it's a stand-in. Right? I went all around the city looking for the actual comic book, and they all told me, oh, I'm sorry, it's out of print. Out of print! It's a Star Wars comic book!
Hey everybody, VoiceOver Wade here, just letting you know a little bit of a couple things. First of all, my phone broke, so camera quality is gonna be different. I actually found the comic book in real life, and here's how I found it with a dramatization I put up. And also, just so you know, that's why the camera quality is gonna be different from here on out. Yep, there it is.
The fuck you doing? Just give me that. Greetings, ghouls and goblins! It's finally Halloween! That's why you see me like this.
I am, in fact, doing an Halloween. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but. Excuse me a second. Just give me a second. Stop it. No, listen to me. Listen to me. There is no way I am doing a Christmas. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody! Finally, Christmas. Snow. Is there any snow? Hey, so, look, it's Santa. Woohoo! Christmas. Well, I guess I'm not gonna need this anymore. Oh. Oh no. So, anyway, I finally finished reading this. I was so overcome by edginess. As you can see, I had to wear this new t-shirt I made myself. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? It says, ask me about my demons. And when they ask, I just say, I read Kylo Ren book. And they'll be like, ah. So you're one of those nerds. Haha, very funny. So how was the comic book? Not very good. I'm sorry. It's just for different reasons. We'll talk about it. So what we're gonna do here and now, we're gonna go through the comic book together, with me narrating kind of what happens to it. Yes, Wade is doing a Linkara. Okay, just gonna get it out there straight away. Wade is doing a Linkara. But it's Christmas, so oh shit. Alright, let's fucking do this. So the comics open with Ren, looking good. And he's currently talking with two people he just saved, captured, not sure about that. And then we see them, the Knights of Ren, in all of their glory, doing something for once. And wait, hold on. What's a sec deck? What? The shadows? What are you talking about, man? You don't follow me. You follow the Ren. I thought you were Ren. Now I'm confused. On a serious note, he's basically explaining, the beliefs and what they entail. Okay, we're not king shaming on the Oscars, but what the fuck, man? So Ren says that he's gonna save the two guys if they give them a good death. So one of the brothers just shoots the other, and Ren kills him because the one that died can touch the shadow. Okay. Holy shit, they speak? Holy shit, let's fucking go! So, after the opening, we see Kylo. Well, not Kylo, but Ben, standing over the burned Jedi temple. And we see 3 Jedis who survived that arrived just in time to see everything burn. Gotta say, love the design of this guy in particular. So Ben meets with them and trying to explain them what happened. Of course they don't believe him because, prequel Jedis know better and they don't believe stuff.
I've just learned a terrible truth. I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
So they try to reason with him, but Ben has other ideas. Also, they're not really Jedi yet, so they're still Padawans, so I've been wrong the whole time. Alright, let's just call them something different. Let's call them the X-Men, because we got Xavier, Storm, and Zorn. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So Storms attack Ben straight away, while the others try to de-escalate the situation, but Ben is just too strong for it, and in a snap of fingers, he just throws her away.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Xavier tries to reason with him, but like Ben, all he wants to do is just leave everything behind right now. But before they can talk further, they try to stop him by fighting him together. Badly Photoshop lightsaber. Ben obviously is too strong for them, so uses his key like in Dragon Ball to blow everything around him, injuring Zorn, of course. So the other two just leave Ben and try to rescue Zorn, and he just goes away. So Ben jumps on his ship and decides to leave. The X-Men luckily are not too far behind. He manages to evade them, and now he figures out his options. When a voice speaks to him, showing him what transpired in the temple and how God destroyed it with thunder? I don't know. Point is, somebody destroys the temple, somebody else, and the voice knows it. So Ben decides to go towards it as a place of shelter. In the meantime, we see the X-Men trying to track him down and decide what to do. And I must say, this balloon is hilarious. Should we call his mother? Tell her what's happening?
And say what, exactly? Hey, Senator Organa, Zorn here. Your brother supposedly tried to kill your son, but your son killed him instead. And now, we're headed off to hunt him down. Sure.
I don't know about you, but I would have done it.
Standing by. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, Senator Organa, this is Wade. I go to the temple with your son. I don't know how to say this. Your brother died. Ben killed him. But apparently it was self-defense. Also, the temple exploded. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. You know, if you received this message, I would appreciate a call back to talk about these kind of things and maybe a hand. I don't know. We're just left in like 3. Well, if you received the message, call back. This is Wade, by the way, from the temple. So anyway, Ben finally arrived at the space station. That's basically just a garden, like a big ass garden, and we meet the voice who's been guiding him recently, Snoke.
Holy shit, my boy! I knew you were eccentric, but this is fucking ridiculous!
So, he begins talking to Snoke, and we discover that he had a previous encounter with Luke. I'm sorry, is this going anywhere?
I think so. Probably. Maybe.
So after this revelation, which I'm not sure where it's going, Snoke asks Ben what he wants to do, and Ben replies that he has been thinking about the Knights of Ren and he wants to know more. You and me both, buddy. So issue 1 finally ends with this beautiful, beautiful page that I'm going to hang on the wall beautifully. I think it looks pretty good. So we quickly go back to the topic mentioned in the previous issue, as Snoke says that the Knights of Ren might be an interesting place for Ben to go after this, but he says that he doubts that they will be interested in quote-unquote Ben Solo Jedi to be. By the way, side note, Snoke looks really funny. Not in this panel, or any other panel for that matter, not only just for the outfit, it just looked goofy in general. What were they thinking when they came up with this design? Ben says that he hates his name after being called like that, because he's named after 2 legends and he could never live up to them. So Snoke asks him as a good friend, "What is the truth, my friend? What is your true name?" Is that how Snoke sounds like? I think so. Look, I'm not gonna watch the movie again. Alright, I'm gonna be honest here, this part could have been very interesting. Snoke says that the name Ben wanted to be called when he was a kid is the best new name he could have, because, you know, us children, and children are pure because they don't lie to themselves. Therefore, they know the truth of the self, which is, you know, very interesting, deep, powerful stuff. Too bad he asked him for money straight away after this, which kinda ruins the whole thing. I know it really doesn't, I'm just making a joke. We then go back in time to a mission with Luke when Ben was a bit younger, and we see 2 things. One is that Snoke is already in contact with the boy via dark side powers? Oh. And 2, that Luke and Ben seems to be on good terms, even though Luke looks more like Chuck Norris than Mark Hamill. So their mission is apparently to enter an old Jedi temple and rescue like a MacGuffin, I think. But somebody else joined the battle. Ren and his knights revealed themselves.
Hello there.
Also, I must say, I'm a bit disappointed that Ren has the same amount of scars that he had in the first issue. You know, it's a flashback, so it would have been cool to see him with less scars. But, whatever. Ren says everything here is theirs, but Luke channels his inner Yoda and prepares to fight. Ben quickly flexes his uncle before Ren flexes his ego. It's actually hilarious that a couple of them actually have their heads slightly tilted down as if they weren't actually crazy of the name. Oh man, I thought we were going to be called something cool. And then Ren says, "And we're legendary!" Actually, I believe that you and the Knights of Ren are actually canon, not legends. Jesus Christ. Ren decides to unleash the Knights and they get their ass kicked.
So, how is it that in this comic where they're supposed to be like all cool and do things, all the Knights of Ren are basically stumbling around like the guy from Scream? Is Ghostface part of the Knights of Ren? Nah.
So after Luke destroyed the Knights, Ren, seeing the situation, decides to try, and fail, to be menacing.
My sword is a bomb and it's gonna kill us all if you do something. I win.
Nah, I don't think so.
Fair enough, I'll skedaddle.
But before he runs, he leaves Luke with foreshadowing. He says that Ben also has the darkness all the Knights of Ren possess. And then he takes off his helmets and reveals a regular face. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very handsome, but I don't think it's as impactful as he thought he was going to be. But then he extends his hand to Ben, asking him to join them. And to that I say, why? Don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal of the cool costume, but they just got wrecked by Luke in like 2 seconds. Why would Ben look at that and say, you really can't offer me much, but at least the costumes and capes are cool, so... What's even worse is, in all of this, Ben goes back to the temple and he's calling them back. So he's taking Ren's helmet and he's putting it on his head. Wait, hold on. If the helmet's here, does that mean the scene we saw at the beginning was set before the main story? Maybe I complained too early. But right after he takes off the helmet, Ben sees the X-Men, ready to fight. Issue 3 begins in Vernac, and we see the Knights having a good old time at the pub. I like the one of them is filtering with Elektra.
Yeah, baby, we get our ass kicked all the time, but that means I can take all the punishment in bed.
We also discovered that one of them is called Vikral! Yes! A name! An official name in the text! Not like wikis or extra stuff! Let's fucking go! Okay, so Ren has another helmet. He probably has a closet full of them, I don't know. Ben finally shows up, and they make awkward small talk. Okay. Ren takes off the mask again. Wonder if he's going to leave this one like as a tip. So, what do you want, maybe friend Ben?
NCUS dialogues.
So Ren is willing to let Ben join them if he can give them a good death. You know, like shown in issue 1. So Ren 6 and us to tell the tale. We cut back where we left off Ben, fighting off the X-Men in the temple, where he and the Ren met the first time. He tried to cut it off at the end, but Ren asked specifically, why was that a good death? You know, other were those 3 characters important to Ben. And so we have a little bit of an interesting issue actually. That's mainly flashback talking about the characters. They are probably not dead. We go into details a little bit more about their personality and relationships with the Fords. Storm was actually called Voe in the comics. It's basically the classic shonen rival. You know, she wanted to be better than Ben to her detriment. Zorn, or Phoenix, was instead focusing on the Force as a puzzle to solve. And then Xavier, or, Tai, that apparently was the closest to Ben on a personal level. I think this might be the most interesting issue in the series for me, because it essentially shows us Ben before, he became evil, his life at the temple, and to be honest, I would rather have a comic about this, him having friends and losing them, rather than the way the comic presents it here. He kills them, sure, and they do have a little bit of a background added, but it doesn't make it feel any more tragic than it already is. If anything, it's just gonna make it seem like a cop-out at some point. It doesn't help that in the comics, nobody really stops and talk about what happened, or, they say their feelings. They're kind of like repeating the same 2 things over and over. And I'm sure that it would have been different if they fleshed out the characters a little bit more. Anyway, we go back to the flashback of them fighting, and after Ben gives us his best Superboy Prime impression, there's this scene where he almost kills Voe by pushing her. But before he could save her, Phoenix tries to kill Ben by throwing his sword at him. Ben throws the sword back. Without looking, he kills the guy. No! Enix! Zorn! No! I love the guy! Oh, damn it. Tai kinda grabs Voe and Ben throws them into the temple with the force and makes it crumble. I assume killing them too. What do you think, fellas? After deciding it wasn't really worth it, they still let him tag along because he has potential and Snoke vouch for him. And Ren says the funniest thing I read in this book so far. I mean, we're the Knights of Ren. We have a reputation of getting your ass kicked every time you show up. Okay. After we see Ben preparing to leave with the Knights, we discover Tai and Voe are still alive. And after a short talk, they decide that Ben is truly lost. And on their friend body, they swear to take him down. Yay! The fourth and last issue begins with the Knights and Ben trying to kill an innocent group of people, but Ben has a better idea. So Ben's idea is essentially using the Jedi mind trick to look through the guy's mind, like he didn't put Poe on The Force Awakens, and, to know where the MacGuffin is, and he finds it. Ren compliments him, and then he orders the Knights to kill everybody. And they do! Look at them go! Woo! So they go to grab the MacGuffin, and they get ambushed by other inhabitants of the planet, and this time, Ren tells his Knights to fight, and starts to knock Ben to also start killing some people. But before he could do anything, the two young Jedi showed up. And then we have probably the funniest banter in the whole book. Ben, who are they? Huh? The past. Tai sends Voe to help the locals and he decides to take on Ben by himself. Voe arrives in the nick of time to save a person and Ren starts to talk shit. I've fought actual Jedis before. Your master, in fact. Fair enough, I'll skedaddle. His lie was so big that even Voe calls him out on it, so that's just hilarious. Tai and Ben keeps fighting while discussing the possibility of him coming and fixing his mistakes. In the meantime though, Ren is turning into Skeletor. Kill her! She's just a blasted child! I really can't put into words how much I love Ren in this book, like it's plain out hilarious. Not probably because he's written funny, it's because he has like the strangest line, it's just plain hilarious. That's it. I'm just gonna put his face on the wall, next to the other poster. While Ben is pouring his heart out, demonstrating the frustration of being the child of legends, we keep seeing the Knights of Ren being tossed around the place like salad. Why would Ben keep them around after this? I don't get it. Look, it's red like episode 3. Do you remember episode 3? I'll stop. Ben disarms Tai, and Tai says, kill me if you have to, Ben, or don't. I must say, he does make a compelling argument. But before Ben could do anything or react to what he says, Tai dies. At the beginning, we're kinda tricked into thinking Ben is the killer, but the next page reveals who's the real culprit. You killed Tai. I sure did. Oh, Ren, never change. You don't want to live in the shadow. True. I am the Shadow. I'm sorry, is this the Kylo Ren origin story or am I reading Batman Year 1? Tough talk, but have you been in a fight before? I don't know, Ren. Have you? Ren tries to fight, but Ben can counter everything he has, both on a word and a sword standpoint. And in this beautiful slash page, we see how the fight goes. Look everybody, it's Simon Pegg! Oh, and then Palpatine, I guess. Yes, claim your birthright and strike him down. Fuck. Ben finally kills Ren, and all the knights fly away like confetti. Ben finally decides to cut all of his ties to the past and kills Voe with Ren's saber. And all the knights finally recognize him for being superior and kneel all around him. I love that one of them doesn't really seem all that convinced. So, why are we kneeling? Aren't we supposed to, avenge our leader? Or jump him? Or, I don't know, Hello? Last pages of the comics are all about Ben finally bleeding his Kyber crystal to have a red lightsaber. And, you know, tweaking around a bit to make the unique lightsaber he has in Force Awakens. Funniest panel in this is absolutely when Vikro is looking at him like off screen going like, the fuck's he doing? Before the ending, we have like a splash page with all the most important people in Ben's life, you know. His father, Han Solo, his mother, Princess Leia, his master, Luke Skywalker, and Lando?
Why is Lando here? What does he have to do with anything? They don't even talk. Do they? They don't even talk in the movies. Or do they? I can't remember. I just can't remember, to be honest with you.
After some final touches, the sword is finally ready. And finally, Palpatine asks Ben, "What is your name?" I think it's Palpatine, I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure it's him. And the comic finally ends.
So, this is the Knights of Ren, the comic book. Finally read it. What do I think? It sucks, doesn't it? The problem I think with this is that they had something good they could have done instead of like getting a comic book that would have been out while the movie came out, because this is just 4 issues, right? So it could have been at least like 6, and I think a couple of issues would have helped expand the story a little bit more. It's no surprise that my favorite issue is the one where Kylo talks about is the X-Men, because I think that in that case it really shows like they had some history. I would have loved to see more of some history, so at that point when they die it really feels something, right? Here's the problem also the Force Awakens had when he kills Han Solo. You don't feel much in a way that, sure, yeah, okay, Han Solo died, but Han Solo doesn't mean anything to Ben because we didn't see them interact much. Like, we know they told us he means much, but they told us, they didn't show us. That's I think that's my problem. I think most of the problem goes like this is like they tell but they don't show. Like, oh, they tell the Knights of Ren are so good, so dark, so edgy, but they get their ass kicked all the time, which doesn't help the fact that Kylo has them after this. Like, I would have just fucking fired them. I don't know, something like it does feel a little bit directionless. So, in conclusion, I'm done. Now there's one thing left with the Knights of Ren, which is the Lego game. No, like all the Lego games, just one. They're just in the latest Star Wars one. I'm just gonna cut here for some gameplay. I think it's a boss battle and the characters as well. I don't know. You'll see. I didn't record the gameplay yet. I swear to God, this video will come out on Christmas. I swear to God, you'll see me in Christmas. I swear.
Super not gonna spend much time on this because I've been asked to keep this video under 20 minutes and whoops. So Lego Star Wars is the latest video game from TNT Games. You probably know them for like the other billions of Lego games they made. Batman, Indiana Jones, Star Wars and Bionicle, you know, the usual. This game though is the one where they kind of revamped the whole gameplay for both shooting and fighting. They also took out the character creator, which is a shame, but now you can do a combo like Devil May Cry to Anakin Skywalker because they made him immortal to avoid people killing him. Fantastic. It's a shame about the character creator though. Also, the shooting is more similar to Gears of War than any other Lego game. So I played this game alone and let me tell you, for me, it was unbearable. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that children will have a kick out of it and it's probably a good game for them. Problem is, I am not children. It took me so long to finish this game, to get myself ready to play it, that in an act of desperation I tried to ask on Facebook if anybody would play with me on this game because I couldn't get myself to finish it. Nobody replied, it was very sad. But let's talk about what the Knights of Ren actually do in the game instead. So they do appear a couple of times. This is a key. Ooh. Let's use Sky Saber. That's when you see the Knights of Ren. Yes, that's when you see the Knights of Ren. hey, oh, hey, hey. I'm gonna get this on footage. Holy shit. And then they die. Alright, joking aside. They are the third to last boss battle and they share it with the Sovereign Protectors because one player plays as Kylo, or Ben in this case, and he fights the Knight, and the other player plays as Rey and fights the Protected. Or, like me, you do it on your own and you play as both, one at a time. Okay, the fight is not very challenging, not at all, and the Knights died pretty easily, even from the standard for this game bosses. But after you finish the game, you can play as them in the free mode. So how are they? Well, let's talk about it. Alright, Aplek has like a big axe, can do cool combos, and there's a grenade. Cardo has a gun, can do cool combos, and has a grenade. Karuk has a gun as well, can punch really good, and has a grenade. Trudgen has a sword, and you guessed it, has a grenade. Usher has a baton, and of course a grenade. And last but not least, Vikrul, and has a sword, well, more of a knife really, and no grenade. Just kidding, he has a grenade as well. I think the problem is that instead of the other LEGO games where every character had like a skill set very specific that represented them, they have just like different classes in this game and the characters just happen to fall under it. So, all the knights are under the class of quote-unquote villains. That gives the characters, I don't know, grenades I'm guessing. But that's pretty much all that I can say on the Knight of Ren in the LEGO Star Wars game segment, so I guess I'm done.
And that was all about the Knights of Ren. If only I had the action figures. Maybe I could have my Christmas miracle. Wait, leave me this Sting Skeleton character. What are you doing here?
I brought you the figures for the Halloween video.
No, I called you. We were supposed to do a Christmas thing.
I'm not the one who procrastinated until Christmas.
Hey man, screw you.
No, screw you.
No. Fuck off. Honestly, fuck off.
You, I'm leaving.
Yeah, you better go. You better go. Hey, yo! What about the action figures?
Choke on him.
So, funniest shit you'll hear all day. I recorded this segment twice. One time when I opened the figures and you couldn't see anything. One time when you couldn't hear anything. So I'm doing the voiceover to this clip because this video is just cursed. Okay, so the figure I got today are Vikrul, or as named here, Knight of Ren, which honestly, it's a pretty cool figure. Details are cool, painting is not really that great, but we can make do, I guess. Then I got Aplek, or you know, named here, Knight of Ren. They got really creative with the names here, I see. And, you know, it's on a smaller scale, which is making me a bit mad because, you know, I can't have the knights next to each other. Well, I'm a bit disappointed that they just made 2 of them when they could have made, you know, all of them. In just one scale, no? I know that all of them are in the Funko Pop versions, but I'm not buying like 6 Funko Pops for a bit. I'm sorry. Then, because I've been a very good girl and I finished the video, I got myself Lando from Solo, because it's the closest I've ever get to have a toy from Community action figure, and it's Lando. Funny enough, I bought this figure before I filmed the Why is Lando here bit, and in retrospect, this is very funny. And lastly, but not leastly, we got the musician from the Cantina, which I got because 1, it looks funny. 2, I wanted to make a joke about the playing jizz instead of jazz. because I'm not mature enough to have this conversation without laughing. Also, he has a name on the packaging, and the Knights of Ren do not? Huh? But I'm done. I don't need to do anything else. I'm done with this video. I am finally fucking done.